Hello everybody. I just got home from work and I felt some extreme hate before I left work. I definitely did extreme, and that isn't why I'm doing what I'm about to do now. But I'm definitely feeling some hate, and it's okay. It's okay. And I thought while this was happening to me at work, I'm like, if you're being hated, you must be doing something right. So check it out. 11 years ago, 11, about 11 years ago, I had a horrible, horrible dream. And after I came upon what I came upon, I realized that God had took me away in the spirit into another realm. And what I witnessed was so bad. It was so horrific. It was so horrible. There was so much destruction. And when I heard God say that I'm sending the destroyer from days past, and if you watch my rapture dream, you're going to understand why I'm doing this particular video right now. And I want to get it out now while I'm still up and it's fresh in my mind. About 3 months ago, an old friend of mine called me, and he's deep into the Bible. And he used to be one of my best friends growing up when we were kids. And I haven't seen him in 20, 25 years. It's been that long. And he called me and he told me that he really was looking to find me. He got in touch with some of my family members and he finally got a hold of me. And he told me, he said when I seen or heard what you seen in your dream, he said, I wanted to share with you. And he asked me, did I know what it meant? And I didn't, but I know what I seen. And when I seen this thing come out of the sky, and it was as tall as a building, and it was dressed in warrior clothes, like it was going to war, like almost like you would see back in the early 12, 1300s, how they used to dress in this full metal garment when they were going to war. It was like that, like a knight in shining armor, only his armor wasn't shining, it was really dark. And in my dream, when this thing came out of the sky, after God said, I'm sending the destroyer from days past, this thing came out of the sky and it landed on the ground in the middle of this city. And this city looked like New York or Chicago. It was giant skyscrapers. And this destroyer was as tall as these buildings was. And when it landed on the ground, it stood there, and me and all these people were it was all black and white, and it was really dark and gloomy looking in the dream in this place that I was at. And when it landed, it stood there. All of us were looking up at it, and it was like one of those moments you see in a movie, like when you're looking up and you're like waiting to see what's gonna happen. And it stood there. It had to stand there for at least 10 or 15 seconds straight in complete quiet. And then when it opened its eyes, flames of fire shot out of its eyes. And then when it opened its mouth, all of these giant golden scorpions came running out of its mouth and attacking all the people that were in the streets. But in my dream, they didn't attack me. And I was watching them attack all these people though, and that's why I believe in my soul that God took me out of my body into the spirit and showed me what I seen. And I'm about to read to you what I seen. When my friend called me and he told me, he asked me, now I know this is a little bit different than a lot of what people study and stuff like that, but I do in my soul, because of what I've read and because of some of the other things I've read, I believe that the Apocrypha has always been part of the Bible, and the reason that the Catholic Church took it out is because it makes the other books of the Bible make so much more sense. It just fits perfect, like the perfect puzzle piece to why a lot of stuff isn't understood. But I'm about to read to you what I seen in this vision, and it's gonna blow your mind. And I just got done reading the whole chapter. This is what I seen. It's in the Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha, and it starts in chapter 18. And I'm gonna start in verse 15, and I'm gonna go all the way to 25. So listen and bear with me, and listen closely. This is no joke. This is what I seen. Thine almighty word leapt down from heaven out of thy royal throne as a fierce man of war into the midst of a land of destruction, and brought thine unfeigned commandment as a sharp sword, and standing up filled all things with death, and it touched the heavens, but it stood upon the earth. Then suddenly visions of horrible dreams troubled them sore, and terrors came upon them unlooked for. And one thrown here, another there, half dead, showed the cause of his death. For the dreams that troubled them did foreshow this, lest they should perish, and now know why they were afflicted. Yea, the tasting of death touched the righteous also, and there was a destruction of the multitude in the wilderness, but the wrath endured not long. For then the blameless man made haste, and stood forth to defend them, and bringing the shield of his proper ministry, even prayer and the propitiation of incense, set himself against the wrath, and so brought the calamity to an end, declaring that he was thy servant. So he overcame the destroyer, not with strength of body, nor force of arms, but with a word subdued he him that punished, alleging the oaths and covenants made with the fathers. For when the dead were now fallen down by heaps one upon another, standing between, he stayed the wrath, and parted the way to the living. For in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the fathers graven, and thy majesty upon the diadem of his head. Unto these the destroyer gave place, and was afraid of them, for it was enough that they only tasted of the wrath. That, I'm not even going to read anymore. I'm going to stop right there. And it says, thine almighty word leapt down from heaven out of thy royal throne. That's Jesus. I seen Jesus come down as a fierce man of war into the midst of the land of destruction. And he brought thine unfeigned commandment as a sharp sword, and standing up filled all things with death, and it touched the heaven, but it stood upon the earth. This is what happened to me. And it says, then suddenly visions of horrible dreams troubled them sore, and terrors came upon them unlooked for. And one thrown here, another there, half dead, showed the cause of his death. For the dreams that troubled them did foreshow this, lest they should perish, and not know why they were afflicted. Yea, the tasting of death touched the righteous also, and there was destruction of the multitude in the wilderness, but the wrath endured not long. For then the blameless man made haste, and stood forth to defend them, and bringing the shield of his proper ministry, even prayer and the propitiation of incense, set himself against the wrath, and so brought the calamity to an end, declaring that he was thy servant. So he overcame the destroyer, not with strength of body, nor force of arms, but with a word subdued he him that punished, alleging the whole oaths and covenants made with the fathers. For when the dead were now fallen down by heaps one upon another, standing between, he stayed the wrath and parted the way to the living. For in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the fathers graven, and thy majesty upon the diadem of his head. Unto these the destroyer gave place, and was afraid of them, for it was enough that they only tasted of the wrath. And then this says, why God showed no mercy to the Egyptians, and how wonderfully he dealt with his people. The Egyptians were worse than the Sodomites. The wonderful agreement of the creatures to serve God's people. Listen. When my friend explained to me what I saw, he said, you saw the same thing that happened to the Egyptians when they had to put blood on their doorpost, and the destroyer came and smite their children. This is so deep to me. This is what I seen to the T. It's super scary. If you read or if you watch my Rapture Dream part 1, it describes exactly what happened, and it goes into great detail. I'm not going to go into it right now because I'm extremely tired, and I had a rough night at work last night after I made my last video. And it's funny how you could be so happy and then things flip upside down. Now, I'm not saying I'm not. My joy comes from the Lord, but that don't mean I gotta have a smile on my face all the time. There is definitely something coming that this world is not prepared for. This world is not going to understand it when it comes. And now I know why in the book of Revelations it says that men's heart are going to faint for fear of what's coming upon the earth. There is things coming upon this earth that men's eyes have never seen, that is going to shake them to the core. And I believe that God showed me this not only to tell me to show the people, but it was also to warn me. Because now listen, when I seen this, I was so deep in church when I seen this, and when I seen this, I remember falling on my knees, blood pouring out of my nose. I was losing my mind, crying out to God. I begged him. I was on my hands and knees, blood pouring out of my nose. I'm crying, and I'm like, why did you show me that? It was that scary? This describes what I seen, but if you seen what I seen, it was the worst horror I've ever seen. I haven't seen anything. I've watched so many different scary movies. I've watched so many crazy things on TV, and I've seen some scary stuff in my life. I've been attacked by demons. That's something for another video, but I have been attacked by demons that sent, I can't even describe to you the fear that I felt when these demons attacked me in the middle of the night. And nothing scared me worse than when God took me away in the spirit and showed me what I seen. I hope that this blesses somebody. I hope that you take this serious, and this spiritual warfare, this stuff that we're dealing with, is not a game whatsoever. And there's stuff going on in the physical, but at the same time in the physical, it's happening in the spirit. It's happening in the spirit while it's happening in the physical. And that is something for a whole nother time, that to try to even explain what that means. So, guys, I love you. Stay focused. Don't give up. And keep your eyes on Jesus. Keep your eyes on Jesus, because what's coming is going to shake this whole world, and the world is not ready for what's coming. It's unfathomable to the human mind and eye and ear. What they're going to see, hear, and feel is coming upon this earth. I love you guys all. Stay strong. We got to stay strong. In Jesus' holy name, I love you guys. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll get back with you soon. All right, bye-bye.